Good afternoon, and welcome to week 11 of child psychology. I hope you're enjoying this class as much as I am. This is a fascinating unit that we're in, where we're talking about the school age, middle age, I mean, not middle age, but middle childhood, and that's the school years. And as we're pressing forward toward adolescence one day, in a few weeks, we'll get to that. But in this week, we're continuing to think about how is it that school, in particular, as a context of human development, shapes children. And this is absolutely, the middle child is absolutely this time that we are first entering this larger world of social situations where we are no longer somebody's child, but we're now also someone's peer and someone's friend. We're part of a class. Most children go to school, outer school, whether it's public or private or Catholic school or whatever. We go outside of our homes into this larger world. And even those who are homeschooled, they're part of a larger world of learning and all. So what we're really looking at here in middle childhood is how do we learn how to be a part of something bigger than our families? How do we learn about ourselves in this context of learning called school? And so this last week I had you looking at some videos from John Taylor Gatto, who was a very famous educational psychologist. He was a teacher for 30 years in the public schools. So to me, that does make him an expert on what he's talking about in these videos. It's easy to dismiss things that make us uncomfortable. It's easy to dismiss the ideas that we disagree with, especially if we come through a system. But this person, to me, had a lot to say and said it well. This is also very appropriate because last weekend was Dr. Gatto passed away last weekend, and so to me, as a very interesting person in educational psychology, he has a lot to say, and he will be missed. In any case, so let's look a little bit at what we discussed. So here we have children in this context of development called school. And so we want to look at what does that do. And this commentary particularly calls into question some of the attitudes and some of the behaviors that we'll call school behaviors. What is really the purpose? I think a lot of you really pulled out some good things. I was very intrigued by what Otelia said. Otelia, I think your response was something that was very fairly common response, because it says pulling the curtain back and looking at finding that Wizard of Oz behind the curtain of what really is going on in school. It's an eye opener, isn't it? But you pointed out how children are trained to do what is expected. And there's an importance to that because our public school system is specifically designed to develop citizens. What you learn in public schools is you learn how to be that citizen that the United States government wants you to be. Okay. I like the way Jamal explained the same thing. He said basically children are mass produced. I mean, you're on the line, you're on the assembly line, and you go through school and they add all the little bits and bobs and tchotchkes and stuff like that to make you who you are supposed to be. Marcus, you had an interesting statement that they were basically taught to conform within the system. So, what do we really want people to be as adults? Do we want people who are think about new ideas? Do we want people who want to try new things? No, we don't. We want you to want what you want, to want your big TV and want your cable TV and want to be able to give you a six-pack of Budweiser and have you watch the game and not want, you know, to really change and adjust, because that's what other people do, or are supposed to do. And how does this work? Tony mentioned how children sort of characterize or are categorized. I mean, how when you go to school, they're very good about saying you should be on this level and you should be on that level, and you're not supposed to mix. So, do you mix? Do people who work at different levels in the Newport News shipyard, do they hang out on the weekend? Um, do people who are high school teachers, do they hang out with doctors and lawyers? Do doctors and lawyers hang out together? The basic idea is that, well, whatever you get is because that was the way we were trained to do in school. Know your place, basically. Man, that sounds really ugly, doesn't it? I don't really mean to be negative about this. I'm very glad that we have schools. It's really very nice that we provide free education of the children in this country, so they'll know how to read and stuff like that. I just think it would be nice if we could recognize people for their individuality instead of, sorting them like different colored jelly beans or something. Anyway, that's a child psychologist talking. In any case, I hope you're having a great week. I hope you have a great week next week, and I will see you next week as we continue to press in to understand middle and late childhood. And have a good week. Take care of yourselves.